the costume that Captain Marvel wears. I don't really have any superpowers.
That's not true. I know you've got one.
Well, she inspired me to get back into football.
Oh, no. What's going on? What's going on?
Oh my god.
Hi.
Over the past 5 years, we've introduced many girls to their role models. We've proved that girls change their language and self-belief at this moment of inspiration.
I'm Illy and I'm 12 years old.
I'm at Captain Marvel premiere in London.
When I was on the red carpet, I met Nick Fury and Captain Marvel.
Hi, my name is Nusrat Hassan. I am 25 years old. I first met Michelle Obama when I was 17 years old for the launch of the Let Girls Learn campaign.
Hi, I'm Manal Chaiwala. I'm 23 years old. I met Michelle Obama when I was 16. Following on from Michelle Obama's visit to my school, she invited 20 of us back to the White House.
My name is Sakirako Shibazaki and I'm 15 years old.
If you could be an eternal superhero, what superpowers would you have?
I have a very easy answer, and people ask me my whole life.
Chloe is the first woman of colour and first Asian woman to win Best Director at the Oscars, so I thought it was just an amazing experience.
Hi, I'm Kiara and I'm 8 years old. My role model is Sheridan Smith.
I say I love your top. Kind kids are cool kids. And your sparkly shoes. You're so cool. Can I have a hug? Oh.
Hi, I'm Summer Gillis and I'm 10 years old.
Can I change the world too if I became a scientist?
What do you think?
I was about 8 years old when I met Rosamund Pike over Zoom because of COVID, and I found the experience absolutely amazing.
Thank you for your really interesting questions and your curiosity.
Thank you.
But this isn't just a nice to do. The facts are worrying and getting worse. At the Female Lead, we know that social media algorithms can and do take girls down rabbit holes, offering more and more negative and toxic content. But we've also proved that we can change this. We call this campaign Disrupt Your Feed.
I can confidently say that Disrupt Your Feed has really empowered my use of social media. I feel like I can take ownership of my social media use, and I feel like the content that I consume on social media is overwhelmingly positive.
I sort of wasn't expecting it to make as big of a difference to my perceptions of social media as it did.
I wouldn't have been able to change the way I use social media if it hadn't been for Disrupt Your Feed.
I watched this one lady on Instagram post about writing her PhD thesis, and that was something that I'd never seen before. I'd never thought social media could be useful in that way.
If we introduce some real and positive role models for girls to follow, the difference can be life-changing. How do we do this? We've already donated thousands of books to schools, and we know that they make a difference.
It was a difficult time because it had only been a couple of years after my dad died. So considering it was a bit of a bad time in my life, it helped so much.
I don't really have any superpowers.
That's not true. I know you've got one.
I haven't. I'm really strong though.
You're really strong? I bet you are.
I'm really strong, but I'm really good at dancing and singing.
See, those are all superpowers. What do you mean you don't have any superpowers? You have so many. And you're so young, you're just going to learn that you have more and more.
Yeah.
I honestly didn't really know what to do, but it was all worth it in the end. I met my role models, I spoke to them. She's made me feel more confident in myself, and it's helped me a lot.
When I met Rosamund, it was really amazing because she basically told me that women can do anything that men can do, no matter what it is. I have a lot of hobbies that now I feel more confident to do because of what she's told me.
Hi, I'm Nana and I'm Kiara's mum. Doing all the interviews with the Female Lead has made Kiara so much more confident. It's made her braver. Anytime we kind of pose a challenge, she's always a bit unsure when we sort of tell her something, but then we always remind her about the fact that she's done interviews, and if she can overcome all those challenges, then she can overcome anything.
I had been invited to join Mrs. Obama on stage for the launch interview of her book. And she actually left a handwritten note inside a book for me, "Keep using your voice with pride." and I absolutely took that to heart, and it has been at the centre of everything that I've been doing since, serving back to my community and the school in which I grew up in. I'm using my voice with pride, like Mrs. Obama had shared with me, and I hope to do that for the rest of my life.
So actively sharing role models and their inspiring stories is a solution that ensures our women, our future leaders, are set up for success. And why wouldn't we want that for all the girls in our lives? Oh, that was quick. I was expecting there to be a countdown and there wasn't. Anyway, welcome everyone. It's fantastic to see you here on this very special International Women's Day. I hope you enjoyed our brand new film, which is all about Disrupt Your Feed. And you may also have seen the wonderful Pink talking to some of our young children and inspiring them in the studio of Kiss FM this week. So it's all been amazing, and I hope you've had a really great day yourself. Those lovely voices, Illy, Chiara, Summer, Layla, Francesca, I want to say a huge thank you to them and their parents for trusting us with that content. They spoke from the heart. It was so genuine, and I hope you saw that and felt it. And for me, it's at the heart of this campaign, which is all about Disrupt Your Feed. And of course, you all know why we're doing this. This is because we keep talking about mental health on social media. And I want there to be some good news, not just constant bad news. And I think there is good news. And to talk about this, I have some wonderful guests, and I have in particular to introduce you to Rowena Humby, who's on the screen with me. Hello, Rowena.
Hello.
So Rowena heads up data insights company Starcount, and has been helping us with some of our big data analysis that she's going to talk about. She's also a trustee of the Female Lead, and I hope that you will see more of her as we reveal more and more of our work and our plans with you, because you've been talking to us, you've been sharing data, and we're really excited about what that shows. We also have joining us the fabulous Dr. Terry Apter, who, as you know, is a very, very special academic who we have worked with over many years. She's returned to this question for us about the effect of social media on teens and older. And to remind you, Terry is a writer, she's a psychologist, and she's fellow emeriti at Cambridge University. So I think without too much ado, I'm going to suggest that Lauren runs one more film. We have 3 in total. This one is about as long as the last one, and then the last one is very, very short. But this is the heart of what it's all about. And then Rowena and I are going to have a discussion about it. So stay with us, please, and enjoy this very special section from Terry Apter.
The algorithm is, to put it lightly, dangerous.
Girls are particularly vulnerable to comparing themselves with airbrushed celebrities on social media. They can start to obsess about what they are not. At the Female Lead, we know that social media algorithms can and do take girls down rabbit holes. We know that this can leave girls feeling alone and desperate. But we've also proved that we can change this. If we introduce some real and positive role models for girls to follow, the difference can be life-changing. We call this campaign Disrupt Your Feed.
My name's Layla.
My name is Fran.
My name is Nida Anise, and I was involved in the Female Lead by taking part in the Disrupt Your Feed study in 2019.
I took part in the Disrupt Your Feed project when I was in sixth form.
And I was a participant in the 2019 research project.
The 2019 study was built on that Female Lead data, and what I suggested to the Female Lead, which they took and ran with, was the idea that we might see whether we could change and improve girls' social media use by introducing them to high-achieving women profiles.
I follow people who I want to follow and people who inspire me.
In 2019, influencers had a massive, significant role in my life. I aspired to look like them. And then in 2023, I still follow some of those people, but I also kind of balance that out by following influencers of the things I'm good at and the things that I'm interested in.
I watched this one lady on Instagram post about writing her PhD thesis, and that was something that I'd never seen before. I'd never thought social media could be useful in that way.
The participants in the 2019 intervention were very positive 3-4 years on about the lasting impact and the experience.
I can confidently say that Disrupt Your Feed has really empowered my use of social media. I feel like I can take ownership of my social media use, and I feel like the content that I consume on social media is overwhelmingly positive.
I sort of wasn't expecting it to make as big of a difference to my perceptions of social media as it did.
I wouldn't have been able to change the way I use social media if it hadn't been for Disrupt Your Feed.
When it came to control, there was a dichotomy, or what you might call cognitive dissonance. So in one breath, they would say, oh, I have control over this, I'm managing it. And really in the next breath, they'd say, something comes along and I'm just knocked by it, and I'm very upset by it for days.
I know that I see videos all the time that do make me feel bad about myself, and I try and get rid of them, but it's a daily thing.
I think the algorithm is, to put it lightly, dangerous, really.
I think social media companies need to be more aware of this, and they need to be more aware of the impact that the algorithms are having on young people, especially as they're so impressionable.
Their concerns about negative comparisons about their appearance and their physique was much more muted than it was in the 2019 cohort.
It really forced me to sit down and consider why I was using social media and what it was actually adding to my life. And I don't think those are the kind of questions that, 17-year-old me would have asked herself.
The main thing that Disrupt Your Feed did for me was make me more kind of considerate of the way I use social media and the way I viewed myself as a result of that. And I don't think that I would have been able to take a step back, make the comparison of social media world, real world, if I hadn't have disrupted my feed in the first place.
Seeing people who almost have the perfect body on social media just felt very upsetting in a way, because I felt like I just couldn't live up to that. And by kind of disrupting my feed and being more aware of my social media use and filtering out content that upset me, I was able to almost take control and reclaim my body image as my own.
The 2023 cohort were the ones who came up with the word algorithm, with the idea of they could monitor the algorithms of the platform by moderating their use on that platform.
The algorithm is almost like addictive.
It's not that I have a short attention span, but I almost find it overstimulating.
I would get in these sort of algorithm loops where you almost can't get out.
I do feel like social media's algorithms can be an echo chamber. So if you hold a particular point of view or a political opinion, then you can almost get trapped inside that bubble.
So if you saw a video that made you feel bad about yourself, it's very likely that you would maybe want to look in the comments for support. But by interacting with that, you're actually making it more likely for you to see those kind of videos in the future.
I think perhaps the companies don't appreciate the thoughtfulness and the sophistication of this cohort of teens on social media.
So here we are. So I don't know who's in the audience today, but I hope some of that really was food for thought. Your thoughts and your feedback are always really important to us. So please, if you want to ask any questions, we will have a bit of time for them towards the end. I think what we see there is that there's been a big change in those 5 years where girls now, some are very savvy and they are controlling what they see. But what was quite dispiriting was the fact that some are not doing that. And it's perhaps even worse. And I think that's what we need to think about and focus on. So obviously you saw some of the poll data that the female lead team ran. Thank you for that. You've seen Dr. Terry Apter talk about the qualitative research she ran. But Rowena, you have brought a whole new dimension to this, which I'm really excited for you to share with everybody out there. So can you talk about what you did and what you found?
Yes, of course. So alongside working at the Female Lead, as Edwina mentioned, I run a business called Starcount that uses social media data to understand trends. And back in 2019, with the Female Lead, Starcount looked at the social media behaviour of millions of teenage girls and boys across the UK to understand what was going on. And that was before this was really a big conversation, mental health and social media. What we found is that teenage boys tend to follow things they're passionate about. So they'll follow things around sports like boxing, cricket, football, golf, or they follow things they're interested in like gaming or technology. And the language they use when they're talking on social media is all focused around their passions. So that really comes through in both what they're posting and what they're following. In contrast, when we looked at teenage girls, the language they were using was all around gaining popularity. So they had a huge trend in talking about follow back, follow me back, on social media, really putting an emphasis on that popularity statistic that's in those likes, those follows. And when we looked at who they were following in turn, it was all celebrities. But quite shockingly, 70% of those celebrities were male. So they were boy band members like One Direction and Justin Bieber. And they were following very few female role models. So in light of this year's campaign, Starcount reran the data to sort of have a look at what's changed over the period of time. One thing we can see is that boys have new passions popping through. So esports is a huge trend coming through. Crypto, interestingly, coming through for teenage boys. So a passion that's already something about, investing in the future and understanding how all of that works. When we looked at the teen girls, in slightly good news, we can see that they are following more female celebrities, although it is still very celebrity focused. And what we're seeing is that it's very focused around in sort of encouraging career aspirations in modeling, talent, influencers, and their passions are massively dominated by a passion for fashion and beauty. So there's not a huge diversity in the things that girls are interested in on social media when compared to boys. So unfortunately, the problem persists. But the good news is when we do analyse the social media data of those who are following more diverse role models, who are following, for example, all the women in the Female Lead books, we can see that they tend to use more positive language to describe themselves. Words like inspired, ambition, feminist. So yeah, I'm very excited. We're rerunning the campaign this year, and hopefully, you know, turning that algorithm into the force for good, because you can see how impactful it is in terms of what people are following and how that affects their visions of themselves and their future aspirations.
Oh, thank you for that. No, I mean, you know, what I felt most encouraged by was the fact that, you know, you think meeting a role model, seeing a role model is just one moment in time. But actually, what we were able to see with those wonderful girls, now women in many cases, was that it had a lasting impact. And that, you know, that kind of understanding what was happening through passive scrolling has become like a superpower for them. And they've turned it into something that can be a real advantage. And I think it's what I'm excited about. We don't want to keep saying social media is all bad, because, you know, we connect through it, don't we? I mean, you know,
we connect, people start businesses through it, they create a platform for their voice and share the things that they're passionate about. But that's the important bit, isn't it? It's using it to elevate your passions and your strengths, and not just consuming all the things that you don't have. So I completely agree. Social media can be a huge power for good when used in the right way.
Yeah. And, you know, we obviously want to get this message out to schools, because I think parents are nervous. They don't know what they don't know about social media and how their daughters, their children are using it. And teachers worry because although it's not in the classroom, they know that hours and hours of time are being used in this kind of connection scrolling. But what we have to keep talking about are the sort of positive elements, and how, you know, it can create these friendships. And actually that, you know, input, one of the things we learn is that this kind of input, quite simply, is appreciated. It's not resented. And I think we have lists of influencers that you know, anybody of any age can log into and just kind of peruse and say, you know, what interests me, what stimulates me. Because guys, we all know there aren't enough stories about women out there, so we have to curate these. And any more that you find or hear about, please tell us so that we can actually feature them.
Definitely.
Brilliant.
When we ran Disrupt Your Feed the first time, I followed a lot of the women and influencers that pledged, and it was transformational for me, actually, because I started following women who I wouldn't have usually come across if I'd let my algorithm keep doing its work. And yeah, it's now opened up my horizons, and it's led to a whole new set of kind of opinions and beliefs that I find really interesting, and a lot of those that I've got on board with as well. So it's a fab list that we've got.
Well, you know, I mean, you know, running the female lead has changed my life, because I get to meet all these amazing women. So, I mean, you know, I'm a little bit older than a teenager, but it's changed my perspective on, you know, how women express ideas and the diversity of their achievements and success. I'm just going to reach out to everybody and just say, if there are any questions out there, we'd be really happy to take them. We have a short video to end on. But yeah, we'd love it if there are any questions from you. Sorry, Lauren, I sprang that on you. Silence. Okay, here we go. Lovely. What are some of the accounts that the female lead recommends us to follow? Oh my goodness. Well, we love Tova Lee. We're going to hear from Tova very soon. We love Megan Crabb, don't we? We love Alex Light. All, you know, I've learned about all these women. There we go. There's a really good link, and there are literally tens and tens of women with all their different expertise and the fun that they have talking about it. I mean,
yeah,
something
there's such a set of real women who are unfiltered and portray the ups and downs in life, which is so refreshing sometimes. And lots of them make me laugh as well as inspiring me. So yeah, it's a brilliant set of women on there. And Gina Martin, Elizabeth Day, you know, Joanne McNally. We've got some brilliant women involved. So
yeah. And I think, you know, that the books that we're putting into schools, and the latest book, I think, you know, we mustn't forget that is as much about seeing and believing as meeting someone like Brie Larson or Tarana Burke. So we can't all meet on the red carpet of a London premiere or a New York premiere, but we can access these. And, you know, I hope all of you manage to get a real diversity of women into your life, because I think it changes how you feel and a lot of what you think about life and society. So I think most stimulating. Any other questions, Lauren? Here we go. Brooke, thank you. What can we do as individuals to have a positive impact on the algorithms? Great question. Thank you. So I think not passively scroll. I think that is the most important thing. Set out your own agenda. Set out who you want to follow, your own curated list, as it were. And I think by taking control, you actually replace the automated algorithms.
Absolutely. And to build on that, I think sharing it with your friends and network and social media community as well, because the social media algorithms all work by recommending what's like this because you looked at this. And so the more that you can get people looking at accounts that are inspirational, the more we're going to, you know, shape that algorithm to inspire the people that we know to follow new things. And in turn, that will cascade out in a waterfall effect to the rest of the people, you know, 2 degrees of separation from each of us.
It's a bit like when I watch Scandi Noir on Netflix and then all I get recommended is Scandi Noir.
Exactly.
You can have too much of a dark story. Yes.
Absolutely.
Okay, we have one here from T.S. Beale. Thank you. How do people find out about exact actions to take so we can disrupt our feed and encourage others to do the same? Well, we have the pledge, which I think is really important. So we can share the pledge. And this is really about the 3 steps that we want everybody to get behind. This scroll with purpose, you know, challenge the algorithm by taking control of your own feed. And those simple steps, you don't have to give up everything you like and all the entertainment and laughs and fun, but just put in that mix of your own, and that will change everything. And you will suddenly feel like you're, you know, like you're giving yourself a good diet, a stimulating diet for your mental health, and just that feeling of self-confidence. Because, you know, the reality is when you see someone doing a job and you think, I can do that, I can be that person, that's what changes your life and your career. It's that visibility, and it is so simple. But when it happens, it's magical, because you realize that the superpowers they have are powers you develop and grow. You're not born with them, and their stories reveal that. So I hope that pledge really helps. And of course, if you're feeling very generous, you can nominate a school to receive a book. There's a form on the website to do that. It's society at thefemalelead.com. I probably said that wrong, Lauren, but anyway, it's society. There we go, society.thefemalelead.com. And you can certainly do that. And, you know, if you're feeling very generous and you want to gift a friend or someone you want to inspire who's perhaps a bit low, you can go for the book, which of course is here, and you can buy it online. Thank you very much. Because that's a positive inspiration too. But they're all on the website. So if you can't afford the book, you can see some of the content at least, and some of the films on the website. So great. Thank you very much. Anything that's left unsaid, Rowena, or shall we go to Tova?
No, I might, if I may just finish on one anecdote, because I had a conversation with a friend who's a mother the other day, and she was battling with the challenge of, you know, my daughter wants to be on social media. I'm terrified about the impacts that's going to have on her. I think she's 13 years old. So what's that going to mean? You know, how can I encourage her to have a positive use of social media? And one thing she shared with me that they've started doing, which I think is very inspirational for many of us, is the deal is her daughter's allowed access to social media if she shares an interesting story or something she found inspiring that she saw on TikTok that day. And TikTok is obviously the biggest new social media platform. It's much more used by that younger generation as a search engine. So they use it instead of Google. They use it instead of, you know, searching a news article. And so actually, if you can encourage that open conversation with someone who's young and someone that you might be concerned about, you can make sure that they're being encouraged to look at things beyond just what the algorithms gives them. And it's a way of you connecting and making sure that those are the things that are going on. So I just thought that was a lovely, positive story I'd heard from a mother who was worried about this kind of challenge, and a way that they've turned it into a real positive bonding experience, which is nice.
Oh, it's lovely. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I do think that this Disrupt Your Feed research from Dr. Terry Apter, from the work that you've done, it shows that girls, women are ever resourceful and they can turn a bad into good. Mm-hmm. And I am really, really delighted to see that that kind of strength has come through. So let's hope that when we come back in another 5 years and have another look, we have all conquered the algorithm and that we are scrolling with purpose. So thank you, Rowena. Thank you, Dr. Terry Apter. Thank you to the whole team at the Female Lead for the work, for the films, for interviewing the girls. And let's leave with our lovely Tova Lee, who has a last message for us. Thank you, everybody in the audience, and have a great rest of International Women's Day.
Did you know that what we see on our feeds has a massive impact on our mental health and happiness levels? Research shows that when we follow accounts and people who make us feel bad about ourselves, we're more likely to feel depressed, to develop eating disorders, and to lose our confidence. In 2019, the Female Lead did a simple experiment. They challenged a group of teenage girls to disrupt their feed by following a suggested list of accounts that were different from what they were used to. These were not fashion or lifestyle accounts. They were activists, professionals, feminists, body positivity accounts, and as they engaged with these new accounts, the algorithm changed and started suggesting similar accounts. Can you guess what happened next? Their entire feeds changed. It made a difference. By clearing your feed from time to time and intentionally following people who make you feel good, you can change your mood and even your social media usage habits. Are you ready to give it a go? Disrupt your feed. You choose what you want to see.